If you would please stand for the posting of colors, followed by the national anthem and a replaying.
Put our chin forward arms, right shoulder arm, and a head step, forward march. March. Like, pump, that base. Present colors. That's right. Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Our post colors of that face. That face. Forward march.
You may be seated. Thank you, Miss Owens. That was beautiful. It's great singing. I love to hear the national anthem. And I love Veterans Day. You know, it's become much more commonplace today for veterans to hear, appreciate your service. And sometimes, honestly, as a veteran, it's a little awkward. when you hear that, especially when you're in the Air Force and flew a desk. Honestly, it means more now today to me because I have a son that's in the Air Force who's in the UAE right now. And when you're 24 or 25, you don't think anything can hurt you. When your son's 24 or 25 and in the service, you think about it a little bit more, don't you, Matt? But today is a day where that we appreciate your service means much more. When everybody thinks about the military and our veterans, those of you in this room, when we think about where you've been, the service that you've done, and those who are here but still hurting, Mayor Cotton's son. We've had some discussions and know some of the struggles that some of our veterans come home with. And today is a day that we need to make sure that we serve those who have served us and have injuries that we might not be able to see. If somebody comes home with physical injuries and ailments, we can see that and maybe serve them, but there's so often that the people who serve this country go through things that the average person can't imagine. To see their friends injured or killed in battle and then have to come back here and live with that. So Veterans Day is a day to remember those, to honor you all who have served this country, to make sure that those that want to kneel in front of the flag instead of stand, the people that fought for this country are the very ones who make that possible. For those who protest this country, whether those protests are good, bad, justified, or not, we have to remember that the military is the ones who make that possible for the rest of us to protect our rights. I believe this is still the greatest country in the world. And the only way that it remains the greatest country in the world is for the fine young men and women who serve this country every day all over the world. So I just want to say this morning, most of the people in this room are veterans. And I want to say thank you. I love you. We love you. This country loves our veterans. And we have to show that every day and take care of them in a way that all too often isn't done. We look at our VA hospitals that don't have the support. And I'll tell you one reason I think that happens. Too often in this country, our leaders, especially those in Washington, D.C., never served, don't have children who've served. If you were in the military, if you've got a child in the military, you think about long and hard before you send those young folks into harm's way. So we need to make sure that we talk to our representatives, senators, send the message to the leadership in Washington, D.C., take care of our kids, take care of our veterans, and make sure that when we send them in harm's way, it's for good reason, to keep this country the greatest country in the world. So again, I just want to say to all those in this room that have served, to all those that may see this elsewhere, thank you for your service and for what you've done for this country. We would, to remember those, let's have the playing of taps, please. Thank you. You may be seated. I'll have some remarks from someone who, while not a veteran, has certainly been touched by military service. As I said, Mayor Cotton has personal experience with things that can happen in that service. So, Mattsville Mayor Kevin Cotton.
These are some of the toughest events that I get to be a part of. It's an honor to be standing before you and have the opportunity to be a part of this service. But I don't know about you, but when I hear taps, it sends cold chills through my body. And it makes me remember how fortunate that I am that my father made it home and that my son made it home. Not all of us can say that. But I want to tell you this, there's hope. If you're one of those veterans that are dealing with things that you've seen or that you've been a part of, there's hope. And I know that because my son has found that hope. He's found that help that he needed. I've stood here before wondering if that was going to happen. But he's found that help. He's reached out to look for the much needed therapy that he needed to process his transition from his military service to civilian life. For some of us, we don't really understand how that can be such a struggle. But when you've spent your entire time serving, leading, and protecting this country, to transition out into a civilian life is a struggle. No matter what capacity, whether you're flying a desk or whether you're kicking in doors. But I'm also reminded of the service that happens once you come home. Because in this room we have servant leaders that have served our country. I look at Donnie Carroll and what he's done for this community and the service that he's provided as a judge executive and the things that he continues to do. I look at Parvin Gibbs, who came in a little early this morning to do nothing more than to deliver smiles to those around him. It's the service that not only do they provide as they're protecting our country, but they're providing as they transition into civilian life. They're looking for opportunities to make a difference here in our community, which is why it's extremely easy for me to want to find opportunities to serve our military men and women, both active and retired. I look for things that we can honor them with and opportunities that we have within our own community, because the service and the sacrifice that they have made to protect our country is more than we can ever imagine. I've spent some time visiting with some of our local 130th that was just deployed to protect our borders. And we see a lot on the news about the borders and what's happening and what's going on, and the reality is what you're seeing in the media is fake news. It's watered down. It's not what's happening. Our men and women have been down there to protect our country. Where they were at, there's 67 different countries that are coming across the border illegally. And our men and women from our community were there to protect our country. Do you think they had a big parade when they came home? A big welcome home celebration? No. Should they have? Yes. We should honor every time somebody returns home from serving our country. Matt? Jack? Your boys are out of the country right now serving this country. And we take it for granted. We do. we go on about our daily lives and we think about other things, and we're looking at the issues that we're facing in our own personal lives, not taking into account the sacrifices that families around us are making with their children serving our community, or with their spouses serving our community. But I want you to know this. We're here for you. If you're struggling, if you're one that's sitting in this room, no matter your age, because I've seen it happen in my own family where PTSD kicks in later in life. If you're one of those and you just need somebody to talk to, come see me. If you're one of those that are struggling with the things to the point that you don't know if you want to continue with your life, call me. Call somebody in this room. Parvin Gibbs is going to make you smile no matter what. You could be having the worst day, and if you call him, there's going to be a smile on your face. But don't think that it has to be the end. Don't think that it's over and you can't get over what you've had to deal with, because there are people that love you. There are people that are here to support you. And although we do Veterans Day once a year, we try to honor our veterans every day. So for those of you that are in this room, thank you. Thank you for serving. Thank you for being good friends. Thank you for being part of our community. And thank you for making the United States of America the greatest country in the world. With that being said, I get the honor of introducing Tim Morgan. Some of you know Tim. Some of you know him very well. Some of you know that there's not a lot that I can say to introduce him. So Tim Morgan.
Not a lot you can say, or not a lot you want to say? There's a difference. First of all, I think was hit. You know, frankly, it's sad that this is all the more folks that come out. But for me personally, I would think Ms. Prunty and the judge, and the mayor, and chief, and sheriff, particularly the Rudds. You know, I know this is Veterans Day, not Memorial Day, but this is made possible by all of us, a group effort. You know, it truly is for me a great honor to be able to speak, to introduce somebody. I just want to share real quickly. This is Colonel Hogan's bio. It's really long. It's really long. It speaks longer than politicians, and I know we're not in a hurry. In fact, there's more people wearing ties in here today in the Baptist Church on Sunday, so I'll take just a minute. But the bio, for those of you who haven't served, is a lot of words, schools, and acronyms and achievements that really would take longer to explain than it does to read. And for those of you who are in the service, you'll be able to look at his uniform and see all those things. But I want to just share briefly, as by way of an intro, to me, more important than a bio, because I think they're overrated. I want to share about the man. I want to share, if you'll give me just about 3 minutes, I want to give you the reason of why you want to listen to what Colonel Hogan says. Not because of his position or his uniform accoutrements, why you should listen to Colonel Hogan. And the first is, really, I'm going to read just a paragraph out of the creed by which he lives, out of the unit in which he serves. And I think this is the opening point of why we would listen to a man like Colonel Hogan. It says, "I guard my unit's mission with secrecy, for my only true ally is the night and the element of surprise. My manner is that of special operations, quiet professional. Secrecy is a way of life. In battle, I eagerly meet the enemy, for I volunteer to be up front where the fighting is hard. I fear no foe's ability, nor underestimate his will to fight." And I think that defines Colonel Hogan to the core, frankly, but why he won't share a lot about himself. So I want to share just a few things. He's one of us. He's a Southern boy. He's from Fayetteville, North Carolina, so for those who are fans of that, that's him. But he enlisted in 1989, and I think that's important for us to see the span of time for a man that has dedicated 30-plus years of his life to our country's safety. And I say he enlisted in 1989, so I give credence to those. Frankly, let's be honest, many of us look and see officer rank and think they only fly a desk, but there's a man who was enlisted for almost 10 years before he commissioned as a second lieutenant. And after commissioning as a second lieutenant, we now see him at the rank of full colonel. And I would challenge you that that's the highest rank attainable without entering into politics. So he is truly at the top of leadership and mentorship. He served in various positions, initially at America's Guard of Honor, the All-American 82nd Airborne. Can I? Come on now. He came on to serve here at Fort Campbell with the 101st, Screaming Eagles, so the boys of Bastogne and all those things we see, Band of Brothers. And then in 2004, he applied and assessed for the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the most deployable, most lethal task force in the world to leave truly on a moment's notice and arrive anywhere in the world, plus or minus 30 seconds, destroying the enemy. Now, that said, he arrived here in 2004. He is now the second in command of that organization. And that's pretty good for a guy, I hope I can share, that I remember being told, you won't stay here, Captain. And he stayed here because he's a soldier's leader. And he truly is that servant leader. Of those things, I would say now, 20 plus, I frankly don't remember the years, but now 20 plus years of being married to a wonderful woman, and I think that's worthy of mentioning in a man's biography, because it states not only about his own personal character, but about the family that supported him all these years while he has served. And so his lovely wife, Melissa, who happens to be a teacher at our local accredited Christian school, is here. And they have two wonderful children. One happens to be able to dance almost better than Colonel Hogan himself. We know where she gets it. But in terms of accolades, you'll look at his uniform and you'll see those colors and those medals and those badges. But the first I would tell you that is not seen on his uniform is Colonel Hogan is absolutely a servant of the Most High God. And that, among everything I can say about him, is the most important thing. As I mentioned, he's a family man with honor and integrity and understands not just what it takes to lead men and women into battle, but what it takes to lead his family. When you look for a leader, that's who I want to listen to. I had the privilege of serving Colonel Hogan back in 2004 when he first got here. He and his wife's Sunday school teacher. So I'm going to take at least a little bit of credit for why he's here. Hopefully didn't mess up too poorly. But when we look at it, he also understands the need. He's a CrossFit guru. He's an absolute animal in the gym. And I say that because I think it's important that he understands service is not only about a mental mindset, but it's about a physical mindset and being able to lead men and women. I look to our leaders, and I appreciate that in you. We look at leadership, and for those of you who have jumped out of perfectly good airplanes, he's a jump master. And he's the man who will not only push your child out the door in the dead of night of a perfectly good aircraft, but he's the man to make sure they're safe, and he's the man that either leads them out or follows them down. And that says a lot about him as a man. We look at that. He's also what we refer to as a fully mission qualified pilot in the MH-60 series aircraft. And what that means is fully mission qualified is he is the tactical professional that is able to lead not only the aircraft, but his crew and his precious cargo is his customer to the target in the dead of night, plus or minus 30 seconds. And so regardless of rank, he's the man that's able to do that. And he's able to exercise that ability because he is a tactical professional. He's not only a tactical professional, but he's a technical proficient aviator, and he's a maintenance test pilot in that aircraft, so he understands all the systems in it. When your 20-year-old snot-nosed kid that just broke up with his girlfriend takes that entire helicopter apart and puts it back together, he's the guy that understands the systems, takes it out, and makes sure that it's safe for the other crew to fly. That says a lot about him more than the things on his chest, because we've entrusted him with so much more than just being an officer. And so as we look at that, I would tell you that as I watch Kyle Hogan, he is the most visible face of leadership on the flight line. As a full bird colonel, I see him walking up and down the flight line more than I see any leader, and I mean from the 03 level up. He's the most familiar face. He is frequently found not talking to the other officers. He's more often found talking to the young kids. And that means a lot to them, and it should mean a lot to us that he sets that example. He's consistently volunteered to be up front where the fighting is hard. He's done that since 2004. He's taken the positions, the jobs, the deployments, and all those things. And I know that personally for me, as my friend, He understands sacrifice and leadership and servanthood because he serves the memory and pride of those who've gone before him. Because he loves to fight and fights to win, and he'd rather die than quit. Colonel Hogan.
Good morning. First and foremost, we'll figure out how good this speech is on if I still get to go to lunch and that invitation stands afterwards. Second of all, I'm not sure what bill of goods Tim Morgan sold y'all on, but I'm not sure that my speech is going to last as long as that introduction. I learned something early on. Be brief, be good, be gone. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm sure that everybody has more important things than sitting here and listening to me flap my gums. Good morning, everyone. I hope today finds you well and in good spirits. As with any good public speech, I have to do the additional disclaimer that this topic is of my own individual opinion and my experience as a service member, and not that of an official position of the Department of Defense. Box checked. Quick history of Veterans Day, for those of you who don't know, it started out as Armistice Day to end the Great War. The 11th day of the 11th month to make an end to the war, to end all wars. But sadly, over a century later, we realize that warfare and the brevity of the human condition did not end on that fateful day. Congress decided in 1954 to include all veterans and adding Veterans Day to Armistice Day to celebrate those who walk among us, those services that we spoke about. And today I'm going to chat about a couple things that have been already alluded to, and I think you guys were looking at my notes before we started. We're talking about service, sacrifice, and support to our nation. So Mayor Cotton, Jack, and the rest of the Madisonville community, thank you for allowing me to come up and, again, just share a few thoughts of mine with you today. Service. Our armed forces includes many different duty positions and career fields. It's not just showing up, shooting guns, and blowing stuff up, although that can be very rewarding. Just ask any 12-year-old, you know. Service to our nation can be, and has for me been, very rewarding within itself. It has provided me and my family a reliable income, housing, and a unique opportunity for travel to very exotic places. That was for the laugh track. But most importantly for me, it's provided an opportunity for a kid coming from a single-parent home who did not have much as far as material wealth is concerned to escape from a potential path that was very negative. So I had two paths in front of me. The judge didn't tell me to go to the Army, but he wasn't far from it. When we talk about service for our families serve as sounding boards. They serve as substitute parents. They serve as teachers or providers in the home, as well as in the community. Many times folks come to me and say, hey, I was going to join, but. I always like hearing that, because I like to take that to the next step. Life takes us all on different journeys. And what I share with them is to be an inspirational leader in whatever aspect that is for you. Service beyond self comes in many different forms. It comes in and out of uniform. Our teachers are servants. First responders are servants. Council members, school board members, mayors, youth sports coaches, scout leaders are all perfect examples of how you can try to serve beyond yourself. As we move to sacrifice, today is not Memorial Day. We reflect on the ultimate sacrifice, which is to give your life for someone else. But yet, you can still act as a living sacrifice, or you can choose to act on the second biggest sacrifice, and that's the sacrifice of time. We can make more money, we can gain more things, but you can't put more time on the clock. The sacrifice of self, when our service members return as part of their former selves, both physically and mentally. They're giving their all of their own individual hopes and dreams and their own ambitions, what they sacrifice for the betterment of us. As we look deeper, we all have a chance to practice daily sacrifice by being that living sacrifice. The beauty of this is to know each and every day, no matter how bad we mess it up, every sunrise is an opportunity to start anew, a do-over, if you wish. Remembering families, they sacrifice their time, their energy, their effort in support of their service member. Oftentimes they sacrifice their own careers, their ambitions, their desires and dreams for that greater good. Many spouses are aspiring doctors, lawyers, and IT professionals who willingly place that aside for the betterment of the collective group and for the nation itself. They give up part of their own self for their country. As we look at support for our nation, for those who may not know, the United States service members swear an oath to the Constitution. In contrast, our counterparts in the United Kingdom swear an oath to the Queen. Here in the United States, I swear an oath to support our Constitution. Not to a person, I swear to an idea, to a faith, to a belief in something greater than ourselves. Maybe, just maybe at some level, we should reevaluate that at the personal level. We reflect today on the support of our nation by those who have served and continued their support as they return to our communities to do great things, to make it better. The experiences and skills they put to use as engineers, builders, dentists, caregivers, the list is just as long as it is varied as they go back and make their communities better. As we remember, the support to our nation is not about a party, a person, or a platform. It's about the freedoms of the individual, their families, their beliefs, and how that collective example coming together has moved our nation forward as the best nation for over 200 years. We need to have more conversations, more coffee talks, chats in barbershops and nail salons, and in our own living rooms. Our veterans serve as examples as they all come together as a hodgepodge of individual cultures, creeds, and backgrounds, a bunch of mutts, if you will. They come together for something bigger than themselves, a belief in something that may not be seen, for a faith in that something that is greater. As I close, I would like to wish you all well and thank you for your precious sacrifice of your own time. Have a great day.
Colonel Hogan, thank you for taking time out of your day to come and spend with us here in Madisonville. Tim, thank you for your sermon, which you never fail to deliver.
I didn't take an offering.
But with that being said, I want to introduce the next guy, who is a huge community leader and servant in our community, Bill Rowe.
Thank y'all. Colonel Hogan. My mom got buried late in life after my dad died. He was a lieutenant colonel. We went up to Fort Campbell and we were in his car and he had that little sticker. And I mean, we pulled up to that guard gate and everybody did like that. We went right through. So I went and I was driving. I thought, man, that's neat. So when I went through, I turned around and came back through again so they do it again and let me in there. You've earned it. You've earned that respect. Duty, you've done. Some of you are doing it now. Your bravery, your honesty. We can't thank you enough for what y'all done for us and are doing today. And that, we thank y'all. And we love you all. Thanks.
For our closing, I'd like to say a prayer. Let's bow our heads. Oh, gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for what it means to us as Americans. Thank you for the beauty that's here in front of us every day that we may not notice. Thank you for this time of year, the color in the trees and the fog on the ground and just the crisp, clean air that we breathe. Lord, one of the most beautiful gifts that you give us, though, is the desire that lives within men and women that decide to serve this country. Lord, that's something that we can't see, but it is one of the greatest blessings that you give us, because every single one of us benefits from that, and we benefit from those that go out to fight and protect our freedoms. Lord, thank you for every speaker that spoke today and for every word that was spoken. We just ask that each one of these words stays with us as we leave this place and will help us to remember, to never forget, and to do something to support and love those that have given so much for the rest of us. Lord, thank you for your mercy and your grace. In Jesus' name, amen.